Yes.
Okay, here we are. Welcome, Powerhouse Smart friends and colleagues. My favorite day of the week, another episode of the Powerhouse Cool Collabs podcast. This is where I get to go into research the coolest leaders that are in my network, people that I feel near and dear to, that I am so honored to share with all of you who are listening to this podcast. And just a quick reminder, this is a short, what we call commutable podcast. So about 25 minutes, and it goes so fast. And I select these guests based on really three pillars. One is I really truly believe they're cool leaders who understand and really care about collaboration. Important. Number two, they live with an attitude of gratitude. And number three, they love helping others, helping humanity. So, without further ado, today I am so honored and excited to bring a near and dear colleague of mine who I've known for quite a few years, who just does such an amazing job. What an inspiration she is. So, without further ado, Michelle, welcome to my podcast.
Hi, thank you for having me. I so greatly appreciate it.
Oh, I'm so thrilled. So, Michelle, please introduce yourself to those who don't know you, and we're going to have a fun soul sister conversation here today. Thank you.
So as far as how I've gotten started, and I have been self-employed since I was 25 years old, so just a couple of years.
That's right.
Um, but my how I actually got involved was I have an aunt that was an oil artist.
Oh, wow.
And she said to me, she saw it in me that I was creative. And she said, I think you should be an interior designer.
Wow.
And I said, I didn't even know what that was. At that time, I did not know what it was. And so I followed that, and it was just, and one of the things that she said, which I really appreciate and like, is it's follow your passion. Because
Yes.
my mom wanted me to be in the medical field because
Okay.
she said you would always have a job. And my aunt said there'll always be someone who can hire you. So I always loved her positive attitude, and I was always grateful for that because I've always enjoyed what I do. I know it makes a big difference. It's
Oh,
huge.
it's huge. So, yes, the first already golden nugget Michelle is sharing with us is have a passion for what you do. Wake up every day and just go, oh, I get to go to work. Great.
Yes,
So,
and
go ahead.
then I worked retail for a couple of years. I was at Porter's of Racine and John M. Smith, and it was like the start of learning. And I had the most incredible mentor too when I was there. He was phenomenal. He shared everything with me, and he would review a plan with me, and he'd give me suggestions, and I'd be like, "Wow." And I go, really? And then as time went on, I realized how valuable all of that was and how important it was.
Great.
And the other part that I really learned was they had us trained that you went out, you waited on the customer, you wrote up the order, you brought it back to the office, you double checked it, and then the team executed it. You
Oh,
didn't touch it again. So
huh.
you were back on the floor working with another client, another design. So being trained that way, I worked at one place that did not do that, where they flooded the floor and you had to manage the whole thing till the end. And what I found with that was it wasn't as productive to grow.
Sure.
And to grow, you have to have a team
Mm.
and you get the jobs in and you create them, you execute them, and then you hand them over to your trusted team to have everything, expedited, the timeline, the scheduling, all the communications with vendors, contractors, architects, everything, so that you can build your business. And I feel that that was a great, great tool. And then
Absolutely.
and then I had a retail business for 11 years. So with that, it was a nursery store, and I had a partner, and we're still best of friends, which says a lot. And we both had different strengths. So
Hmm.
we did different parts of the business, and we were, we had the opportunity and blessed that, we were by the bears. So we did, the fridge, we did Butler, we did all these nurseries, a lot of fun. And we started doing parade of homes, ASID show houses. And then I really decided my kids were getting a little bit bigger, and I really wanted to do the whole house. you know.
Mm.
And then we closed the store after 11 years. And then I went full residential and light commercial. And I
Wow.
started out in my basement, but I always had a team
Ah,
because I was trained that way. So
yes.
even though I was the only person, I had a person come in and do all my paperwork
Hmm.
so that I could be out doing other things. And then from there, I went into an industrial park. I was there probably for 4 or 5 years. And then from there, I bought a house and renovated it. And I'm still there today, over 20 years. And that's our
And
studio.
right. And so I love that your interior design studio, Michelle's Interiors, is in a house, but it's very visible on a highly, well-traveled street. So it's
Right.
like she stands out in the middle of a community, right?
Right. And it's on Route 83. And it does, it has a lot of exposure.
Yeah, it's
So,
brilliant. That's a great idea.
yeah,
I love that.
yeah.
So we'll go back to Michelle because you said a lot of really wise things there. The first thing you talked about was how impactful having a mentor was. So sharing this with the audience that's all different ages, all different capacities. It's not so easy finding a mentor. In this particular case, it happened to work for you because that was your manager, right?
Yes. Well, actually, it was another designer when I was
Oh,
at John M. Smith, and he
wow.
took me under his wing,
Mm,
and he was just phenomenal. And everybody loved him. His clients loved him. He had so much personality, and he wasn't ever afraid to share.
mm,
So, I come from the time frame where we didn't have the internet. We
hmm.
didn't have cell phones even at the beginning part. And so people had all their like trade secrets,
Hmm.
but that was, something that it became obsolete as
Yes.
the internet came and everything. But so he did not care. He would tell you everything, share everything, give suggestions, as
Yes.
far as like with design. And, like I always tell, like when I have young designers, even 5 years, I was a firecracker when I got out of school, but I didn't know what I didn't know.
Yes, exactly.
And as he would teach me things, and as I got more experience, I learned the value of the things that he was telling me.
Sure, sure. You were like
With
yeah,
I
like a
was a
sponge.
sponge. Yeah.
But you're sharing another important factor, Michelle, in that he wasn't competitive. He was more about, I have these, great resources. I have this system and procedures. I have this design, influence, the style, and I'm sharing with you openly because the more I share, the more I give, the more I help others, it all comes back, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's why you and I and you being a part of my network and Powerhouse Smart and my world and my referrals that I give out when I get them, is that you are a collaborator, and hence why you're a cool leader is you were shown that at a very young age, and thank goodness he did that, and there should be more people like that, and now that's how you are, which is why I love when you call me and say, "Hey, I'm looking to hire, or I'm looking to," because I know
Yeah.
it's just another new little diamond that you're gonna cherish and guide
Yes.
and groom. I love that.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go back to when you opened up your retail store because really, you got into being a principal of Michelle's Interiors, your interior design firm, after some really excellent, you know, um, I would call that core grounding training, from being
Yeah.
working for somebody else in two situations in the furniture and design industry, and then retail. But this wasn't like a retail like you were selling sweaters. You were selling nurseries, which I don't know if you remember, but my twins, I was pregnant and I was one of your customers at your retail, and I didn't even realize that when you and I connected up 15 years later when I was a
Yeah.
builder looking with interior designers. But we customized my entire nursery,
Yeah.
including the custom painting on the wall and the bumpers when they used to have bumpers on cribs.
Right, right. We
It
had
was
everything.
I know you were,
Yeah.
so you were in interior design, but just nurseries. Do you know that that in itself, I think, is a whole, especially since my kids are now having children, like
Yes.
nursery design, like that could be a whole new thing. And you were in
Oh,
it, right?
yeah. And you know what was great about it is a moment in time. It doesn't matter if you're adopting, having child, grandparents, whatever. It's such a magical moment for everybody. And
Yes.
people are so happy and so excited. And my partner, we used to work at John Smith, and everybody was coming in and asking for nursery furniture. That's how we got the idea.
Oh,
And we
wow.
said, let's go for it. And the one thing, though, because I did so many nurseries and everything and rooms, and I was actually co-author in a couple of national books with children's rooms. And but ASID would call me, and I felt like I was getting, I don't want to say stereotyped, but like I could only do nurseries. So that was something that I had to really break out of,
Wow.
as I wanted to grow and do other rooms that, and my clients that would, I do their nurseries, they would go, okay, you could do my living room. They would test me, like, could she do another room?
Mhm.
And the one thing that I love about children's rooms, which I like to do in adult rooms now, like speakeasy rooms and everything, is it's such a magical time for a child. And
Yes.
it's to create, like, how we would go all out,
Yes.
for a room
Yes.
and everything. We had custom bedding, custom window treatment, the walls, the murals, everything.
Yes.
And but it's such a short time that our children can be like Peter Pan.
Yes, I know.
And I feel like I still don't want to grow up.
No, I know you're bringing tears to my eyes because I still that nursery was so beautiful. It was,
Yeah,
and then the next child came and I changed it ever so slightly to make it a little more for that child. But yes, and you're right. It's such a creative and a fun time. And of course it's a natural transition into the whole house and you took
right.
your ability to just be open and creative and listen to like you listen to me. What are you looking for in your nursery? What flavors are you going for? And I had a boy and a girl twins, so we had to we couldn't just say, "Oh, let's just make it all pink."
Right.
So
Pink
it
and
was
blue.
yes, we really made it special. Oh, that's so great. So then you opened Michelle's Interiors, and you said you always had a team. You opened it, like a lot of small businesses, they start in their own home office, and you've always had a team, and that too. There's a lot of people who are listening to this and I get a lot of phone calls and a lot of questions. How do I hire my first employee? How did you know how to do that? And where are you in that now, many years later?
Well, when I started, I actually brought our office manager from when we had Stork Room.
Wow,
So
okay.
when we closed, I brought her over. And so that was wonderful because we already knew how to work together. I always say when you have someone on your team and they can finish your sentence,
Brilliant.
it's the best. And it takes time to develop that. It
Mhm.
takes time. And it's both ways to understand each other. And then the next person that I brought on that was a rock star, and she was with me for 13 years, was my painter's wife.
Oh, wow. What was
And
her
he
role?
said one day, yeah, I was looking for someone. He goes, I think my wife might be a good fit.
Hmm. And what did she
And
do?
she ran my office
Okay, wow. Okay.
and she was excellent at it. She was
Excellent.
excellent. Yeah, she had a great personality because whoever answers the phone.
Yes,
And I
absolutely.
still do that today. You call our office, someone answers. You're not going to get a recording.
Beautiful.
So there's someone there Monday through Friday, and we, of course, receive too for packages and things. But I feel it's very important, that touch, that voice. And
Yes.
I always, and I remember when back in the day, belonged to a national group. It was, and he was telling us we're going to text our clients. I said, no way. This is like around 2008, 2000, somewhere in there, 2000. We're all like, you're crazy. You're crazy. We're not going to text our clients. We can't. And that's all we do now.
I know. But that's an addition to that personal
In
side.
addition to the personal, because we always feel like with texting or an email, you don't always get the true thought or the meaning behind everything. And it's really good to talk it through.
Yeah, and I noticed that about you as well. Like you will respond immediately, and everybody has either email, text, or phone or whatever their choice is, but you
Right,
respond immediately by text, but we also, have that personal one-on-one conversation, which is so
right,
important. And that's really
right.
one of the things I've learned from people who have been lucky enough to hire you is that you just have such a strong relationship, just like you built a team you build a relationship with your clients, and God bless you, that is why you're so successful today. But you
Oh, thank you.
yeah, but you were also, Michelle, you brought a very interesting business approach to interior design. So as much as you're still the creative side and you've hired creative people on your team, you also took that retail business and that initial business working as an employee of a furniture store and apply it. And I loved when I first met you, you were telling me that you're in these national groups. So for those who are listening to this and you're wondering, early on in my career, should I be spending time in, associations or groups and collaborating with people that do the same thing I do? And so share how that impacted you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's was actually excellent. So there were 65 designers across the United States in the group,
Yes.
and then there were different groups. So there would be like a sole proprietor, people that had maybe 2 to 5, 5 to 15, and then people that had 30, designers.
Wow.
And it was really great. We had, people who had like celebrity clients like J Lo, and you just learned a lot. And people who did country clubs, people who did commercial, people who did. I was fortunate enough to do a jet one time. It's a lot of fun. So, but you could collaborate. We met twice a year, and
Mm-hmm.
we would share how to do a contract,
Mm-hmm.
how to get a lead,
Mm.
how to treat a client,
Wow.
how to, have your employees be happy,
Yes.
to really, because you really want your team to be happy and comfortable so that they thrive,
Yes.
because when they thrive, everybody thrives. And so all of that. And then if you had a project, like, and you could be across all over the country. I'd reach out to someone who was in Texas, someone in California, and but I had never done a contract for this type of a job. I could reach out to someone who did, and they would share everything because everything was confidential,
Yes. Yes.
and you trusted everybody to help each other.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And so you were in that group, and then I also think you were in YPO, right? Or
No, it was not a, yeah.
Vestige,
Right, Vistage I was in, yes, yes.
Vistage. So
And
you were
Vistage was great. So,
okay.
and the same thing with Vistage, again, you don't have another business that's like yours. All different
Yes.
type of industries, all different types of scale of businesses. And then, and we met, once a month,
Mm-hmm.
and we had private coaching from our Vistage chair.
Yeah.
And you, again, it was about your business growing team. If you had a difficult situation, how to handle it. But it's all, I always feel when you have a difficult situation, it's all about the team.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about the people that you are collaborating with. If it's an architect, a contractor, a painter, electrician, what have you, a vendor supplying product.
Mm-hmm.
It's about how you pull together for the resolution.
Right. Right. That's what it.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and even to execute a design, it's everybody. It's not one person.
Mm.
I always say to the people, like, I always feel like sometimes people don't realize the value of every category. So when
Yes.
you drive up to a home and you see this gorgeous, beautiful architecture of this house or structure, and it's gorgeous, but then they ran out of money and they didn't do the landscaping,
Mm-hmm.
it's not good.
No. No.
Actually the architecture would look better if it was landscaped and appropriately with the design of the house. And the same when you open up the door, you want it furnished.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Or at least in phase.
right, and I feel every layer makes everybody look better,
Mm-hmm.
and it makes a job look complete.
Right, absolutely. So I know that what you've done in the past is you bring that whole team together and you sit down and you talk about the project as a whole, not just I'm going to be the best interior design and okay,
Yeah,
whatever about everyone else. You're all
yeah,
working as on the same path. And that's what collaboration you do so beautifully, because I've had you as a speaker before, so I'm just reminding everybody of who you are and why you're great. But I did want to go back one step backwards for those who are listening and getting wisdom from you today. How is it's so hard to balance working on your project work, motivating your team, keeping them excited, and giving them a sense of growth, that they always have something that they're learning, and also working on yourself, which is by being part of Vistage or part of that other group that you were. How do you know how much time to allocate to everything, and where do you, and I know you hire a marketing person, because I know you're a marketing person and I love it. So how do you manage that whole, all the different balls?
Well, it's a good question. It's one of the things too when I have like younger designers because they don't teach you that in school.
No.
And they don't teach you how to run a business and all the important parts because marketing's huge.
Yes, huge.
It's very huge. And I think it's just, number one, I always feel is the client,
Yeah.
and then it's all the team to execute. But
Mhm.
then you have to carve out time to work on the marketing, but work on it to me as a bigger project so that you're not having to dabble in it every day or every week, like have a bigger picture for it. And then, sometimes it's hard to fit in networking, but it's very important,
Mhm.
and sometimes you get where you're working on a project that's like taking up all your time
Mhm.
and it makes it hard, but it's still important even to reach out people through a phone call
Yeah.
or a text just to stay in touch.
Yes.
I think is important. And then, the other thing that I feel like from just being in business a couple of years, I think one of the things that we got away from was quality.
Okay.
And I've been very involved in sustainability
Oh, yes.
and indoor air quality and not having the throwaway mindset and educating the client on
Mhm.
this and having them understand that they could be a soft pastel green
Yes.
or a rich deep forest green.
Right.
But no matter where you're at, you're making a difference in our environment and your indoor air quality.
Yeah, so important. I know you started doing education for, other builders, architects, and designers. You had a couple open houses, a couple projects that you showed. Are you finding that the consumers that you're talking to are more receptive today, and all of your green initiatives and sustainability? Where do you think the mindset's going?
I think it is more accepted today. Before, if I brought it up, people really didn't care. It wasn't that important. And I think the other part that has become important, which helps with sustainability, is being made locally,
Yes,
being made in the US
of
or
course.
locally so that it helps with transportation, all the renewables. Like, if a cabinet's made out of red grandas, that's renewable
Yes.
so there's different things and it helps with your air so there's multiple levels.
And so again, Michelle, you're such an inspiration. You bring the business aspect. You're creative. You're team oriented. You believe in sharing with your internal team and collaborators that are just outside of your own company that come together. And then you're always learning new things, and you bring them in, and it's just so nice knowing that you're out there making that influence on everyone else and sharing that. And so my gratitude to you, my dear wise girlfriend.
Yeah, I think you're always learning.
Hmm.
I
Oh,
think and it's amazing because I've gone through different periods, gone
yes,
through the Gulf War, 9/11, 2008, 2020. And people talk about, well, it'll go back. It never goes back. There's always a new evolving from it that we
yeah,
learn
yes,
and that we're changing,
yeah,
you know. And, but I think that's what makes our industry so exciting.
yes, yeah. And
It's like just with the, all the stuff that's going on.
with AI and everything.
Yeah,
And not only that, Michelle, when you and I wake up and we don't feel like we're learning something new every day, we're out there, we gotta learn something. I'm gonna
right.
go somewhere, go do something. And isn't that why we're here on this and having this lifetime as
It is.
souls having a human experience, right?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, you're so beautiful, and I love your beautiful back. So it's just the colors. That's who you are. You're just this beautiful burst of light and color and flower. So, one of the things that I always like to talk about with my guests before we end, and this is how fast it goes, like I can't believe it. And in the summary of this podcast will be all the links for you to be able to reach out to Michelle. But Michelle, tell us, how can people reach you? What do you want? Why should they reach out to you? What is it that it would be wonderful for both of you? Tell me.
Well, for collaboration, we love to be a team. We
Yes.
believe in it because we believe, and when we're working with someone, we try to do everything in our power to make their job easier
Yes.
and
So
to make sure they have the schedules or anything that they need for construction, that we're doing our part so that we keep the project moving,
yes,
so
yes.
that there aren't any, slowdowns, I guess would be the right thing, and just being a team player. And I think on the other side, for the client side, it's really understanding because when people look at a house or they look at a plan, they go, oh my God, look at it's this size, it's this, it's that. But then when you really do the space plan in it, which I feel should be done before you finalize a blueprint to make sure it's going to fit your lifestyle, sometimes you're like, that's a great sized room, but you have three entrances in it. So now your space for what you want to do is really cut down. So I feel that it's really good to really look at the space, have someone draw it up, and then also just making sure that everything flows well together.
Right.
And that also, one of the things I always felt this when I had my baby store. One person would love this stroller, that car seat, but I knew all this because I listened to everybody. And I
Yes.
learned from why this person liked this. Sometimes it was the height, sometimes it was this and that. And I think that's what a team brings in, like a designer to a project that we bring in, is we have so much experience that we know the different ways that you can use a room and
Hmm.
how to make it work for different people within the home.
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody's lifestyle is different and their family
Right.
makeup is different. But you hit on a key point, listening. And, in today's, it sounds like it's so simple,
Yeah.
not always. Oh,
I
well,
know.
before we depart, I would love for you to share with us your definition of a well-lived life.
A well-lived life. Hmm. Well, and we know that gratitude is very important.
Hmm.
And I think one of the reasons I feel I'm blessed at an early age with it, I was raised where we were thankful every day. And I really didn't realize what I didn't have, because we were always thankful. And I lost my dad at an early age. I was 17. And it was unexpected. So I didn't get to say goodbye. But it really doesn't matter no matter what. It's always hard, right?
Hmm.
But a year later, I met a woman, and her husband had passed away in a car accident.
Mm.
Her daughter was 3. That was my first moment of true gratitude because I knew my dad. I had a relationship with him. Even though I wanted to hear everybody's story throughout life with him, I knew he loved me. I knew everything. So I realized that was a gift,
Yes,
and I
absolutely.
was thankful for it. And as time went on, I also realized, I think I recall it being in my early 30s, that he had given me the gift of life
Hmm.
because it made me appreciate the people, because you never know when you say goodbye to someone if you'll see them again. You'll
Yes.
never know that.
Yeah,
So it gives you an appreciation, and that you treasure people,
that's right.
you
The
know.
relationships we have and the human connection is so, precious, right?
It is. And then, I think as far as like for, family and business, you just need to care about each other.
Yeah.
And I think what helps is when everybody has something going on in their life,
Hmm.
and you may not always know what it is.
right.
type of thing. But just being there to support people, which also helps you to understand your life and, just be thankful again, both ways, I think is important. I just, to live every day that way. And of course, on a business end, creating relationships with all your trades and vendors
Mhm.
that you feel the bond when you're with them,
Mhm.
and also with clients where it's a deeper meaning
Yeah.
than a client, where it goes deeper, so that because they know that you really care about what you're doing and it's for them, it's not for us.
Yeah. No, you got it. It's so beautiful. Everything you said, it's all goes back down to the heart of giving and caring. And when you walk in a room, if it's a new, resource or collaborator that you're working with, you listen to them, you care about them, being in whatever aspect they're contributing for the project, and they're listening to you, and then that leads to way more work together in the future. But not only that, just enjoying that one project together, right?
Right. And you learn so much. We're working on a project right now where we're expanding a kitchen, and it's collaborating. And we have a lot of soffits, and we're trying to get rid of them. We have a concrete floor, but we're going to expand the kitchen where it'll be two islands. It's going to be phenomenal. But
Oh,
it's a collaboration
yeah.
because we have to be creative on the heating,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
because we're getting rid of the soffits and we
Yeah.
have concrete floor. So minor little details,
Yeah,
but
of course.
it's working as a team.
Yeah.
It
No,
really is.
it's great. It's great. Michelle, you are such a blessing. Thank you so much for being in my life for many, many years now. We won't say how long.
Yeah, just yeah.
But I
And
love
thank you,
yeah,
Wendy.
I love having you, and I love having you um in my life in the sense that when I'm always here for you. Like all you have to do is
Yes.
text me and I will get back to you as soon as I possibly can, probably within a few minutes. And the
Yeah.
same back to you. And I feel so lucky, really fortunate and lucky, and gratitude is just the perfect word. So I'm thrilled that you're part of my podcast now, and we're going to be sharing this, and this is evergreen. So it will live on and
Yes.
on and on. And you're sharing so much wisdom, but mostly, if you're listening to this, just know that you are appreciated and you are loved. And we're so glad you're here and you're part of this. And then we hope to see you face to face. Michelle and I get to see each other at Powerhouse Smart Events because she makes time to grow her network and to give back, and you should too. And we love you and thank you for being here.
Diddle. So
Okay.
thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to say goodbye to everyone and check the links and reach out to Michelle.
Thanks.